Welcome and good evening. I'd like to call the Dover Select Board meeting to order on Tuesday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. Public comments. Hearing none except for Patrick, who wants to say something.
Okay, this is an update and a heads up for the select board from the water task force. Following the completion of the feasibility study, one of the open items from the task force that was raised by Chrissy Haskins, who is the engineer that worked with us on the report, was to explore the possibility of getting retroactive funding for the feasibility study from the State Drinking Water Revolving Fund. As it turns out, it seems that the way we've contracted and presented the report, we are potentially eligible for this. We learned this past week that basically what we need to do is apply, and it seems like it's a relatively low bar, but of about, I think, the $65,000 contract value. If we proceed with a project, like 25% of it will ultimately be forgiven, and then we would have to begin repayment of that no sooner than 5 years from when we got it. And as long as we continue making progress on planning and work on the construction, the clock on that 5 years doesn't start. And then ultimately, if we build a water system, and we end up building a system, it would get rolled into it. So it seems like, oh, and the interest on the loan is at 0%. So it doesn't seem like it seems like a pretty good deal all around. We're going to bring this up at the water task force meeting next week, and I expect at the following select board meeting, we'll bring it back with a specific proposal. I just wanted to elevate it to the members of the select board so that we have it on our radar and then have it on the agenda for that meeting.
Thank you. We appreciate
That's
it.
Yep.
Okay. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Next, we have to approve and adopt the local emergency management plan. We did this, what was it, a week and a half ago? Yeah. At a meeting, Sarah was there, Jeanette was there, Mike was there. So she did. So anybody find any mistakes? Hopefully we'll let Jeanette know prior to today. Jeanette doesn't make stuff.
It's that, but you know, I think we saw a complete design.
So I make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign the updated local emergency management plan dated May 7th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Nope.
Aye.
Aye.
There you go, Jeanette. We'll leave it right over there. Okay. Next, we have new business. We're going to follow up on Rock River Community Meeting by Hannah Pluck.
Great. Thank you so much, Vicki. Yeah, we're excited to tell you all about last month when we had an artist, we had a World War II veteran, and a wildlife biologist all came into Dover Town Hall. And the four of us learned a lot from having conversations with them. So before we tell you more about that, we can introduce ourselves. My name is Hannah. I'm Shreya.
I'm here.
I'm Maddie. And we are Dartmouth students. And we've had a really unique opportunity these last 6 months to work with Isabel at the Woodland County Natural Resource Conservation District on a project that investigates the impacts of flooding in the Rock River Valley. Throughout this project, we've had some awesome conversations with some of you and other members of your community. And I think the highlight has definitely been the community event that we held last month at the Dover Town Hall to bring together all sorts of community members, including an artist, a World War II veteran, and a wildlife biologist who all had really unique experiences. But kind of at the start of this project, we were starting with research and trying to better understand this issue. And something we found was that federal flood mapping, which is usually the gateway to funding opportunities, underrepresented the impacts and the vulnerability that was faced by the community that we saw when we went on site visits along the Rock River and when we talked to community members. And it was kind of obvious that what's missing from these flood maps was these hyper local perspectives of community members, of all of you, who actually experience the impacts of flooding maybe every day. So the purpose of the community meeting was to start to bridge this gap and to bring together all sorts of community members, town of Dover officials, we had emergency services there, the conservation district, and some other local organizations to build community over the topic of flooding and share experiences with one another. So we're really excited to share with all of you kind of the 3 major takeaways that we got out of this meeting.
So with that being said, our first main takeaway was that erosion was a primary concern for a lot of the landowners that we heard from at the community meeting. We were able to see this firsthand when we went to a site visit along the city road among a couple of other sites in Dover where a landowner was gracious enough to walk us around her property and to also walk us through the neighborhood to take a look at the impact of erosion on the banks of the Rock River, which are so steeply eroded that it creates a constant concern in these landowners' minds. It wasn't just her who had that sentiment. That was echoed by several landowners at the meeting, some reporting losing several feet of land per year to erosive forces, with others reporting that their property is no longer adequately protected from the river in case of flooding in future flood scenarios, and it's something that they grapple with and face every day, including concerns about trees that may fall and banks being destabilized across the river. Because, as Hannah mentioned, we know that the funding eligibility mismatches with the actual vulnerability in the community. We know that we need to be really creative about how we think about addressing these challenges, and Isabel has been working on thinking about some of those approaches throughout the Rock River and in Dover. And she'll share a little bit more about that at the end of our brief recap of the meeting. And from your town official perspective, we're really glad that both the Regional Planning Commission is updating the basin plan, as well as you're all working on erosion bylaws, which we both know are really crucial steps for protecting communities from the initial standpoint.
Yeah, so that last lesson was that erosion is a big problem. A second lesson we took away was the importance of community that really struck out to us. We're super excited about what we're doing, and we talked to Vicki and Kyle about these erosion bylaws you're creating. But the bylaw is enough. You need to have buy-in from the communities. We saw this just last week in Hanover, where we all came from today, where they were passing these zoning rule ordinances that failed by just 24 votes because community members didn't feel that their needs were being represented by them. And we've seen this across Vermont with other flooding ones just last year. In Royalton, they had new flood hazard rules fail. And so because we've seen from these discussions and from our community event that we hosted such a commitment to flooding from community members, we hope that you continue to engage with them in these discussions. So when the next vote comes on something like the community bylaws, you know that you have the support you need to protect your community members. And then a final lesson that we want to share with you today is concerns we have from residents about communications during emergencies. During Irene and recent summer flooding, we had resoundingly the importance and how meaningful it was for people to be able to come together and have informal places to connect and have shelter, such as in the school, where we had a lot of people talking about that. We've seen that there are updates happening to the emergency response plan, and that's super exciting, and it's reassuring that that includes formalizing these shelters such as at the school. And we also know there are a lot of concerns about radio breakdowns that will be faced and discussed at the event in the town hall. And we saw that those being updated as well, which is really exciting, and we're really happy about that. And so we just hope that these continue to be communicated to community members, because this thing was raised as a concern by many people.
Yeah, so again, in sum, the 3 biggest takeaways we got out of that meeting were, one, that erosion and kind of the resulting consequences of erosion is the major physical impact of flooding. The second is that community buy-in is super important, especially at that local planning level. And then the third is just the importance of having communication channels in place, especially during flood events.
Yeah, And everything that we learned and shared with you guys, we mainly got from this community discussion and from our discussions along the Rock River. And we know that this community, we've seen that it's really tight knit and really close. Everybody knows each other. So we would like to just make the point that for future plans to actually go through, these discussions on the community level are really important. And we're really excited that Isabel plans to continue these discussions in the future with neighboring communities along the Rock River to help extend the conversation about flooding and erosion and how you can be resilient to all these hazards. And with that, we'd like to thank you guys so much for all the time you've taken out of your busy schedules the last few months to communicate with us and help us set up what we need and figure out what things we need to know so we can do our job. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Isabel and let her talk about some of her plans for the future and any additional resources that we.
So as I said, I'm Isabel, I work for the Mgmt County Conservation District. If you don't know who we are, we're sort of like a municipality as we're in state statute, but we act as a not-for-profit. So we focus on conservation issues. It could be anything from agricultural lands to flooding in the Rock River, and any sort of concerns with invasive plants. And so this project has been a great collaboration with the students at Dartmouth, the teachers, of course. And one of the things I've worked on with the landowners and understanding the whole issue that they're having, what is needed on the ground, specifically with the erosion that was talked about, is funding for floodplain restoration at a few sites in the area. So I was able to apply for some funding through the Mount Scotty Regional Commission. The funding is very long, we could talk forever about it, but it's multi-stages, so it takes a while. And so we have a couple of applications in, which will be great for the homeowners. But as they were talking about, I also am extending more of the discussions format that was held here to other places like Newfane and other neighboring towns, because obviously this flooding is happening across Vermont, and it's very important to be for the communities to be together talking. And with that, I do have resources with me, but I wanted to end on just sort of keeping the lines of communication open between the towns and the conservation district. Often we get calls, we have a phone system hookup that a lot of people reach during the flood event and will call us right after, not the emergency part, but right after. So we love to be connected with you as much as possible to know how we can serve you and the community best.
Anybody have any questions? It was a great event. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. I had fun. I like to listen to people from neighboring communities. There were people from Newfane, from Marlboro there. I thought it was, I was so impressed with what you all did. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the help and the support too.
I'm really sorry I was out of town that weekend. Really sorry.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you're all seniors.
3 of us are
Three
seniors.
of you are seniors. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for finals, or are you done?
We have a couple weeks left, right?
Yeah.
On June 14th.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not rude if you wanna go leave, you may leave or you may stay. And it's not rude to get up and leave,
Right.
because I know you have a long drive and whatever you
A lot of
wanna
people
do.
come here, do their thing and walk out. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't be, but you're more than welcome to stay.
Yes.
Say, Isabel, you said you had some like
Materials?
we could have.
Yes,
That-
I have a variety of floodplain resources, things that are also on our website that I brought a couple examples, and then some of the sites that we are specifically applying for funding, I have them here. And this is great, so
Thank you.
Yeah.
and we see them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. I'm just wondering if we should add her to our, to one of our resources, not the.
We just adopted the
Yeah,
emergency
we just
management.
adopted.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We can add them.
Do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Next up, we're going to have the strategic 2029 strategic marketing plan presentation by Tim Dolan. Thank you.
Thank you all for having
Thank
me.
you, thank you, thanks for coming down.
All right, thanks for having me. Jeanette, can you give me sharing privilege, please?
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think so. Choose individual.
Do I need to do it from that computer?
Oh, all right.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you stayed.
Yeah, I didn't even see it, yes, is that good?
I don't know if that works.
Does that work?
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
You're hired.
You need to come to every meeting.
So we just wanted to come and give you all an update on what we're planning for our next 3 years. The 5-year plan that was originally created in 2020 by Charette will be ending at the end of 2026. So we wanted to have a new plan that reflected what changes have been made and where we're at currently in our marketing and what we kind of foresee our direction being for the next 3 years. So this is a little bit of a combination of some reaffirming what was there and then updating the things that we found over the past 4 years plus that have worked and that we want to continue working on. So strategy wise, the vision statement hasn't changed at all. We thought that this vision statement that was originally come up with by Charette still speaks about us the best, specifically the relaxed lifestyle and abundant outdoor experiences that get inspire visitors to relax, appreciate, and engage. Those outdoor experiences are still the number one thing that people are looking for when they want a Vermont experience, and will continue to be what we lean into in our advertising. Focus, we still want to be on summer and shoulder seasons. Mount Snow and the club both bring in, so many people during winter that, our economy does great during that time. And we, continue to see the room for growth in the summer and shoulder season. So that's where we'll be spending the majority of our efforts. We do still do some stuff in the winter, specifically trying to help the people that are here and making sure that they experience the Deerfield Valley to the best of their our ability that we can get them to. But again, our advertising and where we're going to spend most of our money would be on summer and shoulder. Brand foundation, that foothold of the Green Mountains that Charette came up with in the original 5-year plan still stays true. Our geographic isn't changing anytime soon. So we're still that closest Vermont experience that people can get from those major metro Northeast cities. So we want to continue with keeping that as kind of our brand identity. And along with that, continue the use of the Where Vermonting Begins tagline that we came up with 2 years ago. That's been really successful for us. It does still hold true and characterize that foothold of the Green Mountains. And so we want to continue building on that momentum, the brand equity that we've built, and have some continuity with the brand in that regard. Strategic anchors, what we're always thinking about as first and foremost priorities, establishing the Deerfield Valley as synonymous with Southern Vermont. People think Southern Vermont, they should think Deerfield Valley, and that's something we're continuing to strive to do. Anytime somebody's planning a trip here or is here and wants to know more about what they can do, we want to have high quality resources. So whether it's ads, website, print, email, we all want those to be as high quality as possible, so that they're striking and show off, the beauty of Vermont and everything that we have to offer here. Market expansion, we want to continue to increase visitation during the summer and shoulder seasons that we talked about, and continue to expand our audiences and who we're reaching. We want to continue to engage our locals to be part of this with us and be the ambassadors on the ground. And so when people do come and visit here, they get, as great a hospitality as possible. Inclusion is something that we've worked with the state on, and trying to make sure that everyone that visits southern Vermont and the Deerfield Valley, as well as Vermont in general, feels welcome. So we want to continue that inclusion. And then how we determine the success of our program is always going to be data driven. We want to continue to look at data instead of just making guesses. We want to look at the data that we have available to us and analyze it and make decisions based on that. Strategic audiences doesn't change a ton. Those families and young adults are still our primary core audiences that were as part of the 5-year plan. But we are trying to, again, expand those audiences, like we said earlier. And so this year we're doing some testing with a retiree audience. So trying to see, they have a little bit more flexible travel schedules. And, by targeting them, can we help fill some of the softer midweek periods? So we're testing that this year. And if that goes well, we'd hopefully be able to use them in the next 3 years. And then also this summer, doing some testing with groups and event businesses, weddings, retreats, that type of thing, and trying to see if we can get some larger groups to come in and fill up some of our hotels. Foothold to the Green Mountains, like we said, still our brand position. That location isn't changing. And so we want to continue to target the people within those not day drive, but drive markets. So Boston, Providence, Hartford, and Southern Connecticut, Long Island, New York City, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. The original plan was just Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Long Island. And we've since expanded those with testing, and the data has told us that it does work. And so we've added that in for the next 3 years. Yearly framework, nothing really out of very similar to what we're doing this year. So continuing to have, digital advertising and search engine be our #1 priority. And that's kind of our bread and butter and where we're going to spend most of our budget. But continuing to be present on social media and expanding social media with the help of influencers who can talk to their audiences. We want to continue capturing high quality photography and video so that we have those high quality touch points like we talked about. We're working on an email plan for this summer, and hope to have some learnings from that and be able to carry that forward into the next 3 year. Stakeholder engagement projects is that piece about the brand ambassadors and getting the locals involved. And then our data is tracking the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and using those to measure the success and future opportunities. So those KPIs that we're going to use will be primarily all the digital ones that are the easiest and the most available to us. Website traffic, engagement, time on site, social media growth, as well as email growth. Then kind of some of the secondary pieces, looking at the rooms and meals tax and AirDNA data and looking for trends of those both within the town as well as across the state, and kind of comparing ourselves to our competitors and how we're trending versus them. And then footfall traffic, like we did last year, we know it's expensive, but we do think it's important to kind of once in a while do the tracking of those people that have seen the ad and then actually enter into the Deerfield Valley. Gives us some really good true measurement of, is the advertising working, and at what success rate are we getting, and what impact is it making. And then amplifying our market penetration, continuing to use Google Ads as our search engine marketing, Meta, which has always been the number one priority for us in digital advertising, but also pragmatic display has been working well and getting us a lot of impressions over the last year. So we want to stick with that. Like anything, we're going to be watching marketing trends, and over 3 years, things can change very quickly in any of these. So this is the plan for now, but as trends continue to change or we see data, telling us a different story, that may change the plan for each year going forward. But that's the great thing about the data is we can make those decisions based on what we're seeing. Influencer marketing, like we talked about, getting some other trusted people that can help speak to their audiences, as well as email marketing that we're working on this summer and hope to continue on. And so then finally, money. So this is just a forecast. These aren't necessarily the concrete final numbers, but we wanted to be able to give kind of an idea of what we would be looking at over the last 5 years. We have, I think, dialed in our spending pretty well and figured out what has worked and where to spend it and how much to spend, as the right amount. And so we're kind of now want to stay on that same trajectory, just with a 3% annual increase. So next year would be 253,000, 260 in year 2, which would be 28, and 268,000 for 2029. Again, these are only projections, and we're not asking for money right now. We'll continue to come give you final updates for each year, as well as a request for the following year in November, like we have been. But this is just, again, to help us plan, as well as help each of the towns kind of prepare for what we might be asking for in the future. Any questions, comments?
Just want to let everybody know that those numbers would be split between Wilmington and Dolan.
Correct, yes. Thank you, Vicki.
Cool. No?
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
So,
Patrick.
Tim, first of all, I appreciate it. That's a good presentation and there's a lot of good stuff in there. So thank you. And thanks to anybody who was involved in doing that. Much appreciated. I'm pondering a couple of things. I'm thinking about the 1% money, and I'm thinking about how we measure the return on investment, whatever we spend, whatever goes into this campaign as we've done. How do we track that? And I know you talked about KPIs, but I'm feeling that the metric that I would love to understand better over time as we go forward is, okay, we spent whatever, and we saw, an increase in activity in the valley because, the 1% is actually a pretty direct metric of some of those things, as an example, whatever other KPIs we need to. And it's this always it's always hard to measure the return on investment in marketing, but where you can, you just got to grab hold on it and report and make sure we all know, because I think we all need to be able to explain to the community the same thing, to say, hey, look, we're making very smart spends on marketing dollars and it's driving traffic to the valley, and here's how much they spent and all that. And I feel like maybe other people have made that connection. I don't feel like I've made that connection in my brain. So hopefully as we go forward that's something we can do. The second point is just it's more of a conceptual question. I'm not necessarily looking for you to answer it right now. Is as I look at that and I think about the 1% money coming in, is are we thinking big enough about how we drive business activity or drive people coming to the valley to spend money in the valley and support the economic activity in the businesses? It's easy to say, well, it kind of feels it's like the contra of what I already said, but I also want to make sure that we are thinking big enough in terms of how we grab, because there are a lot of other places in Vermont and elsewhere in the country that are trying to grab the same people we're trying to grab. So I just don't want us to I don't want to spend money I don't want to waste money, but I also want to make sure that I would love to make sure that we're saying, hey, we should be doing X, but we're just, we don't want to spend any more than this. You know what I mean? There's a sweet spot here. I don't know what it is, but maybe we'll know it when we see it.
No, I think that's a
my
great point, and that's one of the reasons why we went with a 3-year plan this time instead of a 5-year plan, was so that we can continue to look at the growth a little in a shorter time span, and not have to wait 5 years to go through the next one, and be able to, reevaluate in a shorter time frame while still having a roadmap a little bit down the road. And then just to speak to your first point about the tracking, it's always the toughest part, like you said, is how much, what, especially in awareness marketing like we're doing, we're not actually selling the product. It's our businesses that are. But I just thought this was interesting, and you might too, since you brought it up. We did do that footfall tracking last year and kind of made some projections of what we thought the economic impact was. And I took some of those numbers, anticipating somebody might ask what that impact was over the last 5 years. And again, these were all just kind of guesstimates based on that footfall traffic that we got, as well as some research into what people spend on a trip in Vermont, as well as in the country, how many people are coming together. And I don't have all those numbers right in front of me, but I can reshare last year's presentation if it's helpful. But overall, I feel like the impact using that data that we have collected, we've probably gotten about 55,000 to 70,000 visitors to come through our 4 years of marketing, which translate to about 180,000 to 240,000 room nights in the Valley through that time. And revenue wise would be about $45 to $70 million that we've created in revenue through about $800,000 in marketing spend. Again, they're kind of guesstimates, but $800,000 when we think about it was a lot to spend. But if we can create 50 million plus in revenue for our businesses, then I think that's a positive.
So it would be great then for us as select board members to, as we go forward, those are great data points. Thank you for sharing those. If we can, the periodic reporting we get back on how we're doing, if we can see those on a trend, so we have it in context. I know, Shannon recently sent around something on the 1% money for the last quarter. That's great because we could see it in a trend. Trend analysis is huge for us because it lets us see directionally how we're going, as opposed to a single point in isolation. But that's great. Thank you.
Isabel, did you have a question?
He answered with the awareness. I was wondering what sort of audience reach the case covered.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Hearing none, thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you all.
Bye. Okay. So the next is consider response to Act 181. I don't know if everybody, and particularly select board members, are aware of what 181 is potentially going to do if it isn't either repealed or modified.
Right.
And so I know a lot of other select boards have voted to not support or support Act 181. But there are some pretty severe changes, yes. And one of them is the road rule, which basically anything 800 feet and over would probably trip on in tier 3, which is the more rural conserved areas, statements to conserve. You would trip Act 250 to put a road in, and you would also have potentially issues trying to sell off a chunk of your property to your child, or because you couldn't pay your property taxes anymore, they wanted. So I've been following it very closely, and this all started as a change of Act 250 because there's a housing shortage in our area. But unfortunately, the housing shortage is statewide and just not the urban areas of our state. So I just wanted to, this is a big deal. Yeah. And as we're in the appraisal right now, and
In the thick of it.
in the thick of it, this is happening as well. So if you have, 10 acres of land and you want to sell some to your child or a relative or something, you may not be able to do
Or
that.
give it
And
to
you-
them.
And you may not, the value of that land is not gonna be the same.
Now, but they will argue that it is because all you need is an Act 250 permit to develop it. And if your pockets are deep enough, an Act 250 permit is not an impediment. So it's not actually taking away the value of the land, it's just making accessing that value that much more expensive and more difficult.
Yes.
And the other thing that I saw was they've increased the size of the wetlands
Mhm.
considerably. My brother-in-law lives around the corner from me and all of a sudden half of his land is in wetlands. Like overnight, it's wetlands. My understanding was though that tier 3 and the road rule were being rescinded
They're
at least
still,
for now.
they're going back and forth.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to just say that, I hope everybody's aware of how this will change, potentially could change the rural landscape around here. In terms of property owners' rights, so that is.
It appears what they're trying to do is make sure that we get more housing, but we only get it in concentrated areas. Like the village center here,
If you have water and sewer.
if you were the village center in Wilmington, and then in all the other cities, but that. They would treat those areas as the place where we wanna shove as many apartments in as possible, and then tier 2, which would stay basically the way things are now. And then tier 3, which most of Dover and Wilmington and Windham County would end up in, would have significantly higher barriers to climb to get to where they could use their land. But again, since they're not actually actively banning it, they're not technically changing the value of their land. So you're sitting in a situation where theoretically you're paying taxes on the value of the land as if you had an unlimited resource to develop it. But you wouldn't actually be able to with the kind of wallets that people around here carry around, kind of thing. I think maybe we should write a letter.
Well, I know Laura Sibilia has been working very hard on this, and it's
Right.
really, we can either vote that we don't support it.
Mhm.
And that can be put on record, there's maps showing the towns that have said.
Yeah.
We aren't supporting it, and then it includes Whitingham
Mhm.
and Halifax.
Mhm.
As,
Yeah.
so.
But I think, from what, I'm sure you know this too, but our representatives, even when they are voting the same way we want them to, it is advantageous to them to have letters, to have, individuals email them or write them letters or boards to add heft to the argument. So maybe we should consider, I think writing a letter from the select board would be appropriate.
Yes,
I'd be happy to take a swing at it.
I'd love you to. But call me if you have any questions, and obviously Laura too. You okay with that, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I have to admit, I don't know enough about the details as I was just listening to you and I had read Laura's update, where I guess there was some action recently, maybe changing some of the provisions, but
Yeah, in the house.
yeah, in the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay with the idea just from hearing from the concerns that you've outlined. I think, this kind of impact on our communities, on our community is something we have to stand up and raise our hands and say something about. So I'm good with it.
Because it would potentially make building additional housing in rural communities much bigger hurdle.
Right. Right.
Linda.
Hey, everyone. So one thing I wanted to add was if somebody is looking to put a road in and then eventually build and it kicks in an Act 250, what it also does is makes it really, really costly for for that property owner, and it's time. It takes a long time and it's going to be very expensive for them. I'm listening to farmers up north and whatnot, but the other piece too, for the developers, is that it's time and money for them because they're sitting on a development and they can't do anything. So that's a piece of it as well. And I guess my question to the board, those of you who are here tonight, how do you feel about this whole process? Like, I do know, I had thought that tier 3 and the road rule had been repealed, but there is a group that has formed, like 14,000 people from the state. Sorry, Pat. They're trying to get the whole thing repealed, but who knows if that will happen. But I'm curious as to how the three of you feel. Like, if you write a letter, which I think is great, I'm curious as to what would go in that letter, if you can say anything about that.
I would start by saying that we have significant concerns about the impact on property values and developability for our property owners here in Dover. That we're not interested in rampant development, but we feel that the zoning bylaw that we use provides adequate protection for undeveloped, for protecting larger parcels, particularly, the conservation district is 27 acre zoning. That's not gonna magically change to 5 acre zoning. I think that our bylaw protects us. I think that having yet another hoop for people to jump through to just be able to do what they want to do with their land is, I think, unnecessarily burdensome. I think the idea of tier 1 has merit, that we do need to have more housing, but maybe we need to look at where tier 1 is identified. And I think right now tier 3, the way it's written and the way I understand it, I would not be in favor of that being enacted at all.
Right. Okay,
But
thank you.
That's exactly how I feel. I think it's just gonna exasperate the housing issues we have in the rural Vermont.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
There are people who
Sarah,
believe that
that's
we don't
great.
need housing around here because nobody lives here. And so
No.
why not push all of the development into Burlington, White River Junction, Montpelier, Essex Junction?
No.
But they're happy to take our tax money
Oh, of
for
course.
our mountains.
Right.
So anyway.
I hope you remember everything you just said, because that was really good.
Well, there's a recording. I can go back and listen to myself.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I will be running it by Laura Sibilia to confirm the accuracy of what I put in the letter. So I don't want to put together a letter that has inaccuracies in it. And
Correct.
Laura is very well versed in this, so I would absolutely be calling on her for input in terms of factual information. And
Right.
once the letter's written, obviously send it to the rest of the board to confirm that everybody's in agreement that it's the letter we want to send.
There, as far as I know, there's been quite a number of towns of select boards that have sent letters like opposing what they're saying. One board was in favor.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Anything else on this?
Can I ask Linda just a question? What select board was it that was in favor, and why were they in favor? If you know?
Oh,
Just curious.
gosh.
I thought it was
I
up
would
in
have to,
Addison County.
Addison County?
Like, I
Yeah.
thought it was, I saw it a while ago. I thought it was Middlebury, maybe, I don't know. It's on,
You can find
there's
out by
maps.
looking at the roll on, the legislative site there. They put all the rolls on and who's voted what on what bill and which way. So you can We can
can
find
find it.
out, Patrick.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I don't want to take time on that right now, but I can find out.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is consider Justice of the Peace appointment, Jim McDevitt. Jim has put his name in and he says, dear members of the select board, I am writing to express my interest in being considered for the vacant Justice of the Peace position for the town of Dover. As a longtime member of the community, I value public service and believe I can contribute in a fair, thoughtful, and responsible manner. I understand the importance of the duties performed by the Justice of the Peace and would welcome the opportunity to serve the residents of Dover in this role. I would appreciate your consideration and would be happy to answer any question or provide any additional information the board may require. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Jim McDevitt.
Thank you.
So
You're aware of how many nights we're gonna be asking to come down here, right?
Select board meetings.
Yeah. It'll be more than that.
So we can recommend, but the governor is going to have to appoint.
Yes, what happens is, the select board would need to write a letter to the governor requesting that he appoint Jim. He's the one who does the appointing.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's not.
Okay,
recorded,
I can
but-
write that letter too,
And
Yes. to recommend.
unless you wanna write
and
It's, no.
it.
it shouldn't be hard. That
Well, and
if
do
we
the
make a
others.
decision, Jim, you do know that Andy has sent around to the board. I don't know if he copied you on it. That if you can't grieve your property evaluation this year. Or you can't be involved in any of the appeals. So I just wanted, it doesn't seem right, doesn't seem fair, but that's the rules.
And you shouldn't be blindsided by that information.
No. So, and
That's right, that might refresh it was fair.
there you
How
go.
much did yours go,
That
how
might be the only.
much did yours go up?
up? So
What percent did yours go up?
I went from, what was 60ish to 919.
Wow.
No.
I'm barely affording my own, thank you very much.
Patrick, do you have any opinion on recommending Jim McDevitt as the Justice of the Peace?
Do we need a motion? I think if Jim's willing to
Well,
serve
no,
and step in.
I don't know, because we don't appoint, we just recommend so the governor can appoint.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess we have to make a motion
Yeah,
I would make a
to
motion.
authorize the select board to issue the letter of recommendation.
Okay.
So make a motion that the select board write and submit a letter of referral for Jim McDevitt to be appointed Justice of the Peace by Governor Scott.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jim, you're moving on.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, we need another one too, so.
Yeah,
Let's say.
all your friends.
Anybody in the room?
Right.
My wife was doing anything to get me out of the
Next, we have economic development, we have an event application, the Vermont Wildlife Festival, and in the room. In the room.
Can I give you a quick note first? Not related to this. The town of Jericho is the only town
Oh,
that has
sure.
been in support of Act 181.
Oh, that's
So,
weird.
Jericho and Chittenden County.
Okay,
But yes.
thank you.
Wow.
So I think I see Mike in the room. They have submitted Vermont Wildlife Festival. We did not get an application last year. This year they are looking for $11,000 in funding, and I'm sure he'd be happy to tell you all about it.
Are y'all familiar with Wildlife Festival? Good.
We're happy
I
that you
am.
might be coming back this year, that's great.
Yes, and we were there last year, but we missed the deadline on applying. And that's all on me, actually. And it was really interesting, like Tim doing a promo for our event was really nice to know. Just now, because it's a shoulder season event, targets kids and families, and it's all about wildlife and outdoors.
high quality.
And high quality.
And it's free.
And well, yes, it's free, it's not a fundraiser for us.
Yeah.
We do ask for donations, but it's absolutely whatever whoever's walking through the door feels they can afford or can't, right, or they don't. And we don't really police that. So yeah, I mean, it's effectively free if you want it to be. And that's really the foundations of it have always been that, right? The idea was anyone can come. You know, if you don't have any extra money and you got 4 kids, you can still come. And if you're a visitor to the area with more money than you know what to do with, you can also come. We've had some good conversations with Pam down at Deerfield Valley Chamber about partnering with Wine and Harvest. It seems each director of the chamber has a different idea about that, and Pam seems really excited. So we're looking forward to that. I mean, I guess you already know about it. What questions do you all have?
No, I'm delighted that you made the deadline. So, but no, I think it's a great family event in particular, and we need more of that.
Fantastic, thank you. And really the especially the promotional side of it, because you all supported us the year before, and we saw a 30% drop in attendance. And it's funny, you know, Tim talking about, again, I love that whole presentation, about the digital marketing. That's all we had last year, really, was digital marketing and press releases. And we saw 800 or 900 people. The year before, we had at least 1,200. And what we lost were print and radio ads, which is a big chunk of this ask, is to cover that, to bring more people to the valley. But it was, you know, surprising to us to realize that old-fashioned, I guess, form of advertising had such an impact.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Any questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we authorize $11,000 funding for the Vermont Wildlife Festival to be paid through economic development.
Second.
Anything else? All in favor then? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna move on to the police department. Thanks, Shannon.
Cruiser?
Yeah.
You're about cruisers, baby.
The new cruiser is at the shop getting updated, so that should be done hopefully by the end of the week. Which means the cruiser that is replacing is half the mulch being taken apart. We're working on the rest of that, and then I'll be ready to sort it out for state.
Okay.
So I wanted I guess permission and guidance on that, how we want to handle that for this round.
Well,
We've done it, and we put an ad in the paper asking for
the
bids.
last one, which was in very bad, you know, very suspect, yes. We didn't, you put it out front.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we do every year. Is
Right.
Put it out front, who's the sign, and, you know, a little write-up about it, and it's a sealed bid, and then we open them at a specified date and go with the highest bidder. In years past, we've done a minimum bid on them. Last year we didn't, again, because that one was in rough shape. We ended up getting less for it than we could have got by selling it online, which I brought to you guys, but it was the gamble we took. The car we're getting rid of, the Kelly Blue Book on it is, and other websites that do that kind of thing, is anywhere from 7,000 to almost 10,000. How that translates to Dover, Vermont, I don't know. But that's what they're saying.
What's the year?
It's a 2016 Ford Interceptor. It's a Taurus police model. It's got 90,000 miles, which is not a whole lot for that year. So.
Well, I know in the past, Mike, you also ran some small box ads, and I think that not everybody drives past the police station. So I know it did give us things farther afield too, than not. We're not necessarily the best. But I think that, you know, it's a small amount of money, and that sounds like the vehicle has enough value in it that it would make sense.
Sure.
Yeah, so we would do it in the paper of record, or we would go further afield?
I think in the past you just did it in the Valley News, right?
So my understanding, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
What do you think about that, Patrick?
Would you like me to do a minimum bid this year?
I
Or
guess you
just let
I,
it unfold?
let it unfold, I think. The minimum, then you're gonna have to drop it if you don't get the minimum. You know,
Right,
so.
what do we do then?
Yeah. So then you do it again, right? No. So,
so would you then give Jeanette the language to put in the box ad, and she can
Yeah, we
then,
do that.
she can then submit it, cause you'll know the particular, year, make, model, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Put all that
And we
together.
usually just do that
Sue
on
could
the
do it.
window of the vehicle too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That'll be something similar, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you send that to Jeanette, she can send it to the paper to be.
What about a time frame for the bids? Any suggestions or?
Get in next week.
Mid-June.
Well, we're still taking it apart, hopefully.
Oh, okay,
I would say certainly within 2 weeks. Well, we do it ourselves, so we kind of do it as we have time.
right. So if you could run the ad starting June 4th, would it be back out?
We should be able to do that, yeah.
So it would be advertised June 4th and 11th?
Yeah, and so we'd wanna have it so that the bids were in, on a Tuesday before a meeting, so,
June
yeah,
16th?
yes, at 5 o'clock. Does that make sense, Mike?
Sure.
Then we can open them at that time.
What was the date? Sorry.
The June 16th.
But we wanna start running the ad June 4th and then June 11th?
Get that by the second.
Right.
Read about it.
Great. You good with that? All good, Patrick? Okay.
Yep. Makes sense.
And the next item, consider damage due to water in the gas tanks at the town garage. I feel like this is a repeat.
Yeah, me too. And I'm sure Travis does. Imagine that. So, Travis can speak on the gas in the tank part better than I, but about 2 weekends ago, I guess, there was water in the gas tanks again. And 3 of the cruisers were filled up during that period, between the water in the tank and us knowing there was water in the tank. They're all running poorly. One of them had to go to the shop because it was running so poorly, and it was about a $1,500 fix. And we're not sure if the other 2 are gonna need that. We're trying to push them through with dry gas and running the gas out of there and just pushing the water out, but. The way it was explained to me is the more complicated the engine, the worse the water is for it. All the fuel injectors get water in and you can't push it out, and that's what's making them. Kind of sputter and stuff, especially under weight and load, and. All the lights are coming, the check engine lights are coming, which is not ideal. Obviously.
So the one that you got fixed, is it operating properly now?
We just got it back today, and the guy that drove it back, and then somebody that did about half a shift in it said it was driving great. No more sputtering, no more. Yeah,
So Travis, what happened? I thought we installed some monitoring devices.
Yes, we do have an in-tank monitoring system that's tested multiple times a year, and it's passed. I had installed the fuel filter that would slow down or stop if it detected water, but it didn't shut off completely, so it allowed gasoline will go through what they call a phase separation, where the water and the gas mix and then separate. So some of that made it through that was no good. Plus, we were low on a delivery during that time period. There was only I don't know. It was our first Thursday that we started working 4 days, and I had to have called Nidos for a delivery because there was only 400 gallons in the tank. and that's a 3,000 gallon tank. So I made the call and they came and delivered on Friday or Saturday, whichever day Nidos came. And when I came in to work on Monday, the water alarm was going off. So whether it was previously in the very bottom of the tank and we were basically, filled the cruisers off the bottom that was no good, or whether it was in the gas that was delivered, is you don't know. Yeah, you don't know. But we did pump out probably 100 something gallons of water out of there ourselves, and it's all cleared up now. I have a way to. There's this paste we can dip it to check for contaminants of water. So we're going to be a little more adamant about dipping it more, because that's going to be the best way to tell versus, keeping an eye on this alarm system, which by the way is in our budget to be replaced this summer. So I'm looking forward to that too. Hopefully that will help.
Okay, so now if we have to do 2 more cruisers, that's gonna.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm hoping not, but also. One of them, the check engine light is steadily off now. The other one, it comes and goes. And that's the main concern, obviously.
Yes.
I will say, so the alarm that goes off is inside of their building, so we don't know about it over the weekends. Travis has told me since that if the pumps are pumping very slowly, that's a sign that this alarm is going off, I guess, and that there could be a problem. So I passed on to all the officers that if that ever happens, to contact Travis. Stop filling up at the town. Contact Travis immediately. So we put a couple more safeguards, and like you said, a new system. But in the meantime, yeah, I just wanted to bring to your attention that those 3 cruises were affected.
Thank you. Never good news.
No.
All right, well, keep us posted. Yes, Jim.
If Nido has broken this fuel, is it worth having them go to whoever was the transporter, whether it's Union or whoever, and see if there was other complaints of water in their fuel, recent fuel deliveries?
Yeah, I guess we could
What
ask Nidos if they can.
There's no harm in asking the question, right?
Right.
I think it's a reasonable question. All of a sudden you get 100 gallons of water that.
Yeah.
It's more than condensation.
Yeah. Yeah. So who wants to, does somebody want to reach out to Nidos and see if they've had other complaints?
Travis did. I feel like that should probably be Travis, since.
I can. Yeah, I'll look at the dates.
Right.
Yeah, I'll look at the dates in question. They'll have a record of the date that I called. I also will know when I called because I usually keep track of it. But yeah, I'll give them a call and see if they had any other issues during that time period.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay.
Right. Motion to go to Board of Liquor Control.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, my ratings of these are good, so, make a motion that we approve the first class and outside consumption permits for Mount Snow Limited DBA Grand Country Deli, the first and third class licenses for One Mountain Park Plaza LLC DBA One Mountain, first and third class licenses for Deerfield Beverage Concepts LLC DBA Deerfield Bar and Bottle, first, third, and outside consumption for KPLC Inc., DBA Westover Inn, subject to receipt of all necessary paperwork and fees.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to come out,
Motion to come out of the Board of Liquor Control?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Consent agenda, we have to approve the minutes of May 5, 2026.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 5th, 2026.
Second.
Any changes, corrections?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, approve the warrants of May 9th for $8,838,572.40.
Second.
Yes, and there is a big payment
Big
to
number.
the ed fund, yes.
Yay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a letter here from HCRS that isn't on our FYI here. And that was for the $1,400 that we donated to them, appropriated to them, and they're very thankful for it, so that was nice. And one more thing. There is no PFAS in the soil around the library. Yes.
I'm just gonna bring that up.
Oh.
I should let you say it, man.
And Jeanette, thank you for all your work on this, and so we should be moving forward now on the well. But that was really good news and saved us money. Yes, Jim?
Why not? Because the soil was remediated, but they retested.
They didn't, they tested, they did boreholes, all the soil came back fine. So I guess it's just a standard thing that if you have a well there that has contamination, that there's a good chance that some of that water, but yeah.
Would you, the conservation is just soil testing for a variety of things. I mean, I don't know what the concern is. Obviously it's lost, probably only lost.
PFAS. I have a copy of this if you're interested.
Well, just saying, if there was something off or weird that you want to test with.
Okay. But we thought that we were gonna have to have a lot of soil removed and stored.
Yeah.
So that was good news.
But we're not talking, though, it wasn't tested, found that there was stuff in the soil and remediated, it was tested and was clean from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do
I think
not-
that was your question.
Yeah.
I thought it was tested a long time ago, and they knew there was PFAS in that soil.
I think they assumed it, but
They did because it was from
They tested in multiple wells.
the dry well, they assumed the old well was where the contamination was. And because there's so much fractures in that well, they assumed it had spread to the to the soil. But
yeah.
apparently it did not.
Well, that was good news.
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't usually get good news.
tomorrow night at 5 o'clock to 6:30 at the Dover Town Hall is the reassessment informational meeting. Meetings with appraisers start on May 26th and 27th from 9 to 5, May 28th and 29th from 12 to 8, May 30th from 9 to 3, Dover Town Hall, and there's a phone number here if you want to make an appointment. The Dover Water Task Force meets on May 27th at 5 p.m. The Planning Commission meets on June 8th at 6:30. The self-evaluation review meeting for department heads is June 18th at 2 p.m. at the Westover Fire Department because there was a conflict at the town hall. And employee evaluation meetings are at the town hall on June 25th, starting at 2 p.m. Does anybody have anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
Second.
7:39 p.m. Thank you.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thanks. Well, that was pretty good. Not you.
So right now.
Well, thanks for staying.
You're 6 minutes.
Oh, I always